My name is Mavis Pam. I was born and raised in Taiwan. When I was 4 years old, my mother, who was working as a housekeeper, decided that I should take piano lessons. Her biggest dream was for me to grow up to become a beautiful pianist and hopefully marry well. She would give me rides on her motorcycle and bring me to those piano lessons, rain or shine. She would get really upset if I didn't practice, because the tuition of just one lesson equaled to an entire day's wage. My father was serving in the military, and he would also take me to my piano lessons on the motorcycle whenever he was home. Although he was never formally trained in music, he could pluck out melodies on the piano by ear. I think I inherited the good musical gene from him. When I was 12 years old, I was admitted into a music program at a private Catholic girls' school where I received vigorous musical training. My mother worked beyond her ability in order to give me the best education possible. However, during my young adolescent age, I struggled with a sense of embarrassment and inferiority, as most of my classmates were coming from well-off families. I also struggled with depression and low self-esteem, as my family was not only financially unstable, but would often get into arguments and fights. I was jealous and unhappy, for I couldn't understand why my fate was so different from all my privileged classmates, and why God was being so unfair to me. At one specific occasion, my mother's friend invited us to a church, and after having heard a sermon about Job in the Old Testament, I found encouragement through my life's struggles. I became a Christian as I realized that the reason for Job's suffering was not because God did not love him as much as others. On the contrary, God was thinking very highly of him. He knew Job had the ability to persevere through all the trials and tribulations set before him, and he was able to experience God's rich blessing at the very end. During my traveling teenage years, classical music didn't seem to ease my pain. The pressure of competitions and performing in front of panels of judges take away the joy of making music. However, I could somehow feel an explosion of joy and a supernatural connection with God when playing the piano during worship service. God has given me a natural ability to improvise. No one ever taught me how to do it. It is simply a gift from Him. My life underwent a drastic change when my family immigrated to the United States. This was right before I turned 17. The transition was extremely difficult for us as an immigrant family. My parents were working in Chinese restaurants and factories earning minimum wages, while I struggled to learn English and surviving through high school. The Chinese church became our new home, and the brothers and sisters became our new family. They gave us a lot of support when we rebuilt our lives in America. My self-esteem had diminished greatly since I had lost the ability to express myself verbally. Music became the only way I could express myself and was the only place where I could regain my confidence. All of a sudden, music became my life. It was all I had. Music speaks the unspeakable. It carries a power that nothing else can replace. I was very fascinated when I discovered jazz, for I have never heard anything like it. Its sophisticated harmonies and complex rhythm captivated me in such a way that I was determined to learn this music no matter what it took. I decided to switch my major to jazz piano even though I did not know anything about jazz at that time. I was the only female pianist in the program with 70 white guys at NYU. Again, it was like another immigration experience, as I had to learn a new musical language and adopt a new musical concept. In order for me to learn this music more effectively, I joined the Brooklyn Tabernacle Gospel Choir, learning how to clap at 2 and 4 and feel the upbeat rhythm in my body. It was a great experience while worshiping with African American brothers and sisters and be stretched beyond my comfort zone. While being immersed in the African American community, I slowly came to realize that the root of jazz is spiritual in nature. People may associate jazz with nightclubs, alcohol, and drugs. Yet the root of jazz is nurtured spiritually, born from American soil. It came from a wounded soul yearning for liberation and dignity. It is the cry from the heart as you seek comfort and hope through painful and nostalgic moments. Yet, it also carries an innovative energy that compels you to move forward. Its vigorous rhythm and vital force remind me of the power of perseverance during hardship. Dancing with a drum beat of courage and hope. A soul who was once forced to leave everything behind is now forced to create something new and beautiful instead. For the longest time, I've wanted to make an album of beloved hymns with jazz improvisation and my own interpretation. The essence of jazz is not based on a set of rules and dogmas. It is a form of music that has no boundaries, no limitation, and is filled with infinite possibilities. Improvisation comes from a genuine heart and has no time and no room for pretentiousness. It is honest, it is vulnerable, and yet it is truthful. This album is called Not Alone. Although I'm playing piano alone, I always imagine myself as Mary pouring the expensive perfume on Jesus' feet and caressing the keys with my tears. I pour out my heart and my soul, my hurt and my pain, and everything that I am while worshiping at the feet of Jesus. And while the jar of perfume was broken, the people were all blessed by the sweet fragrance that filled the entire room. The life of a composer and singer woman can be tough and lonely sometimes. But I have a loving Savior who is constantly watching over me and listening to my playing. Not Alone is an album of love, celebrating my intimate relationship with Him. I would like to invite you to join me on this project. I hope you will be blessed and smell the sweet aroma while you listen to my music. Art is an expensive perfume when it comes to production and distribution. So I hope you can help me produce a top-quality scent to our Savior by supporting me on this project financially and prayerfully. As it is said, it takes a village to raise a child. And I would like to add that it certainly takes a community to raise an artist. I pray God can bring this project to fruition through our collective effort, so that I will not be producing this album alone. I also pray that my music will carry God's healing power to comfort you, and to remind you that you are not struggling alone either.
everybody need to find that individual voice, and I find that in jazz. And when you improvise, the moment you improvise, there's no time and room to be pretentious. You're completely naked and vulnerable and honest, and that's what makes this music beautiful and truthful. And so I think God not only allowed me to be a jazz pianist, but by taking on a journey, becoming a jazz pianist, I learned about him more. I've learned more about his creation and his love for mankind, and about having a relationship with him.